I'm going to give you a little short bio on these guys, and then we're going to get the community of Mea Shearim in Jerusalem. Wow. See, people didn't know that about you. And Yiddish is his native language, among 5 others, and he is the eldest of 14 siblings. Now you know. He left and moved to Europe, ultimately settling in Germany, and studied theater in Munich. Jeff is best known for his role in the Netflix miniseries Unorthodox, where he portrayed Moish Lefkovich. And he won Best Supporting Actor Award. Since then, he's portrayed Ori Savir in HBO's motion picture Oslo, and recently starring in Peacock's series The Calling, among other works.
Thank you so much.
Thomas Roth is a freelance director and author since 1995. He's received multiple awards, including the Erich Neuberg Prize, the Golden Romy, that's like the Austrian Oscar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the Golden Ticket for his film Falco. You have to see it. He is the screenwriter, director of multiple award-winning TV series Troutman. He also contributed many films to prominent German language TV series. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
First, I'm going to start with Thomas. So Thomas, what inspired you to make this film? How did you become interested in the subject matter? You're not Jewish, so tell us, what was your drive?
It all started when I read the book Justice and Vengeance by Simon Wiesenthal. And I learned that there were hundreds of trials against Nazi criminals in Austria between the 50s and the 70s, but compared to the amount of trials, there were only a few convictions. So I got very interested in this special case of this guy Gogol, who was acquitted not only once but twice, because after the first trial, since media from foreign countries were watching this, they felt they had to repeat it in Vienna because of formal issues. And then they repeated it, but at the second trial, all the witnesses of the first one didn't show up anymore because they were treated like you've just seen it in the film. Most of this trial dialogue I took right out of the actual transcript of the trial. So the second thing was that about that time a young Jewish producer called me from Munich. And he said if I was interested to hear the story of his family. So his grandfather, Victor, he had to escape to Paris and went into the resistance. But then they decided to come back in the 60s and to re-Aryaise their company. And I think that happened very rare. So I was fascinated that this grandfather and father of this producer, they are like what you see in this film of the character of Victor. So when I had all that, I thought that's a good basis to make a movie, and the rest I made up.
So the story and the story of Simon Wiesenthal. So the part that's true is based on Wiesenthal and the Victor character.
Exactly.
And the revenge part is you made up.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever meet Simon Wiesenthal while you were writing this?
No. Sorry, no.
Life.
But I didn't know if Thomas had met him throughout his career.
No. But a lot of the lines that he's saying in the film, I also took it off his book. So a lot of things he's saying is actually the script. Yeah. Make it louder. Can you turn up the microphone a little bit?
I think she can't hear you and she can. Okay. Do you want to use my mic?
No, I'm finished with this.
What was your process in writing the screenplay, and how long did it take?
It took very long. I started, I think it was 2015 or 16. Is it better now with the microphone?
Yeah. Keep yelling, it's great.
Okay. I try not to move, okay? So, I started, I think it was 2015. And then, I mean, I did some other stuff up till now. So you work on it, and you don't work on it. Things change. So it's was not easy to get the money for this film. Finally, we had to shoot it within 25 days for a budget of 2.5 million euros, which is really not that much. In wintertime, during curfew, so it wasn't easy to do it, but finally...
Half of the budget went to my salary, so...
Yeah. So besides that, yeah.
And then the other half for making me old at the end in New York, so, you know.
That's right. So yeah, finally we decided to do it, and then accepted all the conditions, and yeah, that now is all the final result.
So you said during curfew, so you shot this during COVID.
Yeah, that's right, in Austria.
So what was that like to shoot a film in 25 days during COVID?
Yeah, it was very time consuming, because we had to test every single person on the set every day, and we had to live like in a bubble in a hotel all together, tried not to have too much contact to other people from the outside, stuff like that, so it was not easy. Yeah, it was like that.
Where did you shoot it? It looked very cold.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in wintertime it's mostly cold in Austria.
It wasn't fake snow. It wasn't fake snow.
Now we know why Jeff moved here.
Yeah,
Exactly, LA, paradise.
No, we shot that at Salzkammergut, and this is close to Salzburg. And there's a place called St. Gilgen at the St. Wolfgang Lake, and they always have snow. So I said to this location scout, I definitely want to have snow. Tell me where to shoot it. And then he said, there's one place that they always have snow, and it was like that. We came there, and it snowed right away.
Tell me about the title.
Well, Schächten means it's the word for kosher slaughtering animals.
Shchita.
Exactly. And this is the knife that they use for it. It's a traditional thing to do that.
It was an interesting choice for the name. I want to talk about your casting. So how did you connect with Jeff?
I saw Jeff in Unorthodox. He was brilliant, and I decided, well, I wanted all the Jewish characters in the film played by Jewish actors. So we were looking in Austria and in Germany.
You didn't look to have to look to a lot of people. So
Yeah,
I didn't have a lot
did.
of competition.
To be true, I did.
It's true.
Yeah, we had this casting, and then since in Austria there were also very good actors, but I was not that content at the moment, so we decided to do a casting in Berlin. So Jeff showed up. Again, we decided or offered Jeff the part.
It's my first main role, by the way. This movie means a lot to me.
So what was that like? This is a much bigger undertaking to be the lead in a film.
Yeah, very much. In 25 days, and you know, in this character, and it was definitely very challenging. Yeah, but it was very important for me, and a very intense experience. Also, it's a character that I feel that after I finish the movie, I know myself better. I know my history better. I understand the world better. So I'm growing from that. My soul is growing, and this is a great gift that this weird, beautiful profession that we have sometimes gives us.
What kind of research did you do for this character?
So I read a lot about Simon Wiesenthal, which is a fascinating character. I wish I would have met him. I know people that met him. So amazing, and I don't know if you understood, but Thomas said most of the lines of Simon Wiesenthal in the movie are actually from his books, and it's beautiful. Like he says, you know, to belong to the victims is terrible, but to belong to the offenders, it's much worse. And this is that's something, it blew my mind, and I think it's so relevant for today. And also about question of, is there something like a good revenge? Is there something, is this ever justified? I know I was never in a situation that I walk on the street and I saw people that kill my family in front of my eyes. I don't know, but it's, what would you do? But it's a very interesting question, I think, that the film asks, and Simon Wiesenthal is a very direct, clear answer. And he was a real mensch, you know. He was also with the Native Americans. He was not only busy with Jews. So, and until this day, he's being annoyed. You know, a lot of people that I meet in Austria or in Germany see them as this annoying guy that, you know, still stirring things up. So
That's a good thing.
yeah, for sure. But he dedicated his life for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, so this is an interesting question. With your unique background, how much, as a Jewish person, did you draw in your own life and use for your character, Victor?
Those are few questions in one, but I definitely, I knew that part of my family, like my grandfather, for example, I knew that he was murdered in Auschwitz, and you know, when he was kind of in the back of my mind. But then I started looking at photos, and his daughter was, she survived. She was a photographer. The others didn't survive. The great-grandma asked to be killed before she was deported because she was very sick. So her own brother gave her a gift. Poison. And I remember looking at the photos, and you know, she just did like a kind of selfies. You know, you see that they're like in position. Because she just put the camera in, but she wasn't completely sitting yet. And you see the dog, or you see my grandma like holding a dog like my girlfriend has, you know, and it's just like a very, suddenly you understand. When I grew up, you said I grew up Hasidic, I remember learning that the Nazis, like, you know, they were demons, you know, they never took their boots off because they're chicken feet. And I understand why the community, because it's such a immense drama, why they demonize and, you know, the make it almost non-human. And also when I grew up after that, and also in Europe, you know, it's like, oh, the Nazis and the war, it's so far away, and it's like black and white photos of people walking very fast, but it has nothing to do with today and with us. And suddenly I saw these photos and I understood, wow, twice my life, and I'm there. It just, I see my grandpa, you know, just, I don't know, 1 year before he was deported to Auschwitz, you know, looking, smiling at the camera. And it's just like the photos, because she was a photographer, they have such a high quality. And I remember when, you know, when she spits on my face, it was on set funny, because, you know, it's always way too much, you know, and somebody needs to do that. It's like the technical side of it, and it looks funny. And everybody was laughing, and I was concentrating. And I remember going and watching, looking at the photo, you know, and like, because also this text is like, how could you do this, you know? It's difficult to play because it's so simple, but like, how do you play it? How do you knock on the door of somebody and, you know, and represent the Holocaust in this few simple sentences? I remember just looking at the photo and just really asking, you know, how could you do this? Because I still don't understand how it could happen, how it happened. I still don't. In Yiddish, you say, "Ich hab es nicht." I don't get it. You know, I just don't. So yeah.
It's interesting that it brings up the scene where Gogol was talking with his wife, and she's asking him about women and children, and
Yeah.
he's saying, "Oh, you know, I mean." Very interesting, Thomas, your writing. There's many things
Very
that I noticed
realistic,
that
very realistic.
connected to today, and that at the time it was okay, everybody was doing it, and now, yeah, you know. So there was some specific scenes that really could connect to today. You know, nobody wanted to hear about your feelings. You kept them inside. Now, everybody can say what they want. Was that something that was meant to connect to what's going on in the world today?
Yeah, sure, yeah, in a way, yeah. I think that this film deals with several topics of universal relevance, actually. It's about anti-Semitism, it's also about discrimination of minorities, it's about religious wars, terrorism, even maybe the acceptance of women in the society in the 60s. So I think that those are all subjects that are still actual here in our times.
It makes your film so much more relevant with what's going on. I hope it makes people think. Can you
I hope
talk?
so too.
Yeah. Can you talk about the way the two of you worked collaboratively?
Like with Chip?
Scenes, yeah, like scenes and what worked and what didn't work, and if there was.
He was screaming at me, I was screaming back, you know.
No, when you shoot a period movie in 25 days, you don't have too many options. When you come to the set in the morning, first it all starts with testing all the people there, and then there's a lot of things to do on this day, on the shooting day. So I always try to come up with some kind of a plan, how I want to shoot it and how I want to direct it. And then I introduce the actors to my ideas, we discuss it, and then most of the time there's not so much time left to discuss or to try different things.
I try to. So what he's saying, I was asking so many klotzkashes, you know, like a lot of like.
He was asking a lot.
A lot of questions, and you know, and then I did anyway what I wanted, and you know, this is
okay. Yeah, it's not true. You know that, so I do not have to comment on that. No, it was very nice, very professional. I mean, everybody on location knows that time is ticking, and we have to do this. So everyone tried to make it happen.
What was the most challenging scene for each one of you?
I mean, everything was so challenging because you try to stick to this time period, and you don't have the money to have like 20 horses or I don't know 20 cars or something like that. So we were always fighting for authenticity. You know, I always wanted this to look real. So I cannot make some kind of charge with what was difficult. I tried to make it believable and to put it into a real world. So this was very challenging with the budget that we had.
And from basically also the same from an actor's perspective. I was, you know, for example, for me it was very emotional, the scene in the Beis HaChaim, the graveyard, you know, the funeral, and you know, and it's in a real Jewish cemetery in Vienna, and the cantor is the real cantor of Vienna, which we found out that we grew up in the same place in Jerusalem. He lives like 40 years already in Vienna, but so you know, we were too late, and it was getting dark, and it was just the whole, you know, and then you need to do it, and you have a lot of extras, and you know, and then action, and it's like everything needs to be on point, because I think we didn't have half a minute extra. You know, some other films you have budget, okay, so you have another day, you have, you know, somebody's, you know, you have, if somebody has COVID, you can still, there was no, so had to go very fast and always on point. So, and I was always afraid to fuck it up, you know.
Now I remember the toughest part every day was to bring the Jeff on set on time, because he's always a little late.
It's not true when you have. You see, that's the conversation. It's when you have 4 days, you know, that you need to change, you know, the makeup and everything. And Thomas was always thinking that's, you know, it's like, but we love each other. We love each other.
Technically, you should have been on time. You're from Israel, which always shows up late, and Germany always shows up early, so you should have been right there.
Yeah. I was here till 30, by the way, half an hour, 1 hour before the thing.
Yeah, this was because he was with me.
Yeah, exactly. And he wanted to go already. I said, no, we need to wait. It's our film. We need to make an entrance.
You missed the pictures. No, anyway. Tell me more about that funeral scene. I've never seen that, walking without the shoes. Well, where did that custom come from?
We got the chance to talk to this cantor of the Jewish community in Vienna, and I was very interested in this. He told me the whole procedure, how they do it in Vienna. And then he arranged for us that we could shoot at the actual cemetery, Jewish cemetery at the Zentralfriedhof in Vienna, and he was there, like you've seen it in the film.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. And he told us everything. Yeah. So I never heard of that before, never seen that before. So I was fascinated by this ceremony.
Where did you come up with the idea of the plan putting Gogol in the same situation as Victor himself was as a child? That was a great ending.
Hard to say. Things like that happen when you write or when you make up your mind about this plot, or I don't know. I cannot say when exactly or what was the idea when it happened. On the way to the final draft of the script, it came up some time. I cannot remember exactly how or when it was.
I also like some of the other symbolism, like the scene where they go on the hunt. I mean, I want to ask you about the hunting scene, but the hunting scene where they lay all the animals out and pray for them. Yet in the same field in the beginning of the film, you see them just shooting Jews.
Yeah, that's actually something that really happens in Austria when those guys go for hunting. They do it like that.
Really?
And, yeah, that's. I didn't make that up. No, really, it's like that. We didn't shoot a single animal for the film. That's.
Thank you.
That's a fact. But yeah, that's just like they do it up there in Salzkammergut.
Can you talk about the physical challenges of shooting that scene, the hunting scene? Jeff?
I don't remember a physical challenge for me shooting the hunting scene. It was, like I said, the challenge was to be on point. You have a conflict that you're just about to kill somebody, and that killed all your family, and it's on your, and you just have the chance, click, and he's dead, and everything in the democracy didn't work, in the real life, by the way, in the real story, he didn't even hide his name. He was under his real name. In the story, at least, he hid his name, so, and there was many stories like this in Austria, so, you're there, they're hunting, nobody will know, click, and he's dead, but then again, you kill somebody, and it corrupts your soul, so I think I was concentrated on that, but I don't remember. It was cold, it was thin, but it's fun. This part, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
intense.
I came late always, so so I didn't hear that.
Yeah, because he ran to the set all the time, and he was warmed up when he arrived.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he's in a very good shape, so I think physically there were no challenges for him in this film.
We are funny in Austria. You think we're funny?
Okay. Well, some more questions about the actual film. So what's happening with the film now? This has been the LA premiere.
Yeah, we had our world premiere in San Francisco in July at the Jewish Film Festival there, and toured the globe a little bit with it, from Australia to India, and we were in Austin, now we're here in LA. Last week we were in New York, so very proud of that, and let's see I think at the beginning of February we're going to Israel, and there'll be 3 screenings there, and then we see our distributor Neil here is
There he is.
thinking about open up in North America. We'll have some more festivals that we will attend. So I'm very positive about that.
And you said it opened in Austria? Is that what you said?
Yes, in December. Yeah, it opened in Austria.
And
in December.
how's it been received?
Very, very good. I really was surprised actually, but we had very good reviews and a very good opening night, and yeah, it was great.
Good. I'd like to open it up with some questions. Yes.
Could you clarify, please, who put up the sign, Jewish sympathizer? Because he obviously wasn't. I didn't get that part.
On his house. Remember?
Yeah, Victor did it.
Who?
Victor.
Oh, okay.
But the question is why? Because I understand the question. I know the
So
answer.
I understood who.
No, but why?
Why is because he takes this out of the big opening scene where he finds this pass, this ID card, and I think that in his vision, this is the most incriminating part to write Jew sympathizer on the house of this guy. This is
And because in the beginning you see the SS soldier who has who's dead, and he has this Jew, so it's kind of a gaslighting kind of
Setting him up.
because he had the jacket and everything from him and the thing. Yeah, yeah. So it's just like this, how he
Here's a question. So how did you straddle the line? I know that you had the breakfast scene, where the father was speaking about how he had to go to war and nobody would understand. And then you also had the scene between Gogol and his wife. You're kind of building up these characters into extremely three-dimensional people with, their own reasonings behind why they do things. And then you also have Victor go ahead and kidnap Gogol's wife. How do you kind of straddle the line between this being an anti-hero and a revenge plot, and also building these characters as three-dimensional, while still wanting the main character to be the hero, still wanting the main character to feel like he's doing what's right, and wanting the villains to feel as villains?
The Victor is not actually murdering someone,
Right.
And it's open in a way in the ending, so you can make it up yourself if it's a dream or not. And on the other hand, I understand that, but I think the real horror is that back then those people were humans, if you believe it or not, but there were no machines and no robots, and that's a fact. And I find this horrific. So this is like Google says, there's evil in every one of us.
Yes.
I'm afraid that that's true,
Yes.
and so I wanted to show that.
I thought that was really beautiful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this woman here.
Yeah, I'd love to just discuss this the one moment where you're walking into the cave. I thought it was really interesting that you were holding his hand. Is that written into the script, or is that something that's happened naturally?
So he fell like a few times, and Thomas went to me and said, "What are we gonna do?" Because it's very, very slippery there, and it's very and it's really cold and slippery.
Actually, I said I cut that. I don't show it. Actually, yeah.
Huh?
I said I don't shoot it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't shoot it
The
because
first
it's just
time
like
we did
cut
it, he was falling, and I
Yeah.
thought he broke all his bones,
Yeah.
but he was so
he was
so
really-
brave.
yeah.
One way to
He
get
just
rid of
stood
him.
up.
He
Yeah.
was, he was
No, and he said, "Come on, let's do
No,
it again." And
yeah.
I said, he's
the actor, It's,
yeah. So then Victor came up with this idea too.
And I said, let's show it basically that he walks, and I think this is a very, actually a very strong picture of the offender and the victim in an intimacy, and I think this is also something that always I find interesting for me, the intimacy with the enemy or with somebody that hurt you, and I think that was it became a very strong picture. Also now seeing it, I was like, and I think those beautiful things happen in cinema that you don't plan, and this is one of those that is just it's so real also because he really needed my help. So it's yeah.
I thought that was very interesting because it's the perpetrator was now relying on his victim for his life, and ultimately
And
you're taking him
I'm taking him also
to
to his death.
death.
Yeah. So
There was another question.
Oh, many, yeah. Yeah.
I have him right here.
Two questions. First, considering the climate in Austria of anti-Semitism, how is the film being received
It's
in Austria?
fantastic.
And the second and way more important question is, what kind of car is it? That red car?
It's a Volvo. A Volvo.
It's a Volvo 1800.
I got to keep the car. No, I wasn't. No, you think? No.
Everyone wanted that car.
Because I came late. If I would have taken time, I would have killed it, but I didn't.
Yeah, the other question is, I think that Austria is not the country where we have the highest anti-Semitism in the world. So this is, I think, this image of Austria is wrong in a way. If you look at Europe, look at Hungary, there's a right-wing party in the lead. Even in Sweden, there's a right-wing party. In France, this was very tight that not the right-wing succeed. In Italy, there's a right-wing party in charge.
But they're not
So, they are not more or less than in Austria, I think. So I don't think I don't think that this is true. I think that's a problem, like not more in Austria than anywhere else. I think.
They're everywhere, anti-Semitism.
You don't have to throw a stone too far here.
That's right.
We have it here too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
We do.
We're not out of it.
Let's take somebody else. We're going to take, yeah, Cheryl.
So I just have to ask you, the scene where he lets Victor go, that would never happen.
Sorry, I didn't understand it.
The scene, she's asking about the scene where they let Victor go, where Gogol says, let him go.
Why? Because if he would shoot me, it will fall on him because it's pretty obvious. It's all in the papers, and and they're there and they're hunting.
Gets away with everything anyway.
No, this is a realistic story. I mean, and it's not that he can do everything in the 60s without, being, he could be acquitted in a trial. But if he kills, he's being smarter. I mean, this is just, it won't be interesting if everything will be allowed. It's just not. It's like saying, so I disagree, personally.
No, it's good.
Robin.
First of all, unbelievable on both ends. Your performance was just so understated and nuanced and complex, and the directing was the same.
Thank you so much.
It was really, really stellar.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wanted
Thank
to
you.
say,
Thank
I
you.
did get a chance to meet Simon Wiesenthal.
Wow.
I was involved in raising a big sum of money for the Simon Wiesenthal Center when they opened the Museum of Tolerance, and was part of this Shabbos dinner that he was at, and it was very, very exciting, and I couldn't wait to meet this legendary figure. And I suppose I had these ideas of who I thought he was, and he was. There was nothing romantic about the man. He was very gruff and very not into any kind of small talk, and very just dry, clear, you could just slice the air, and it was quite a shock and intimidating, in a way. But it was really yes. I also just want to say how much I appreciated, as somebody who became a Hasidic Jew, the fact that you authentically depicted the scene in the cemetery was just stunning, beyond.
Thank you very much.
And
Thanks.
I really, you never see that. It's often just not done correctly, and really it was so respectful. Very cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The relationship, was that fictional? Was that real? She's so beautiful. Her performance was so lovely, and I just wondered if that was your creation or.
Yeah, it was my creation actually. But when I talked to Victor, the real Victor, he told me that when they came back to Vienna, he was, let's say, a womanizer in a way. He was very into women. So he said everything worked out fine as long as the parents of the lady got to know that he's a Jew. Then everything was over. So I wanted to show that, because I found this. disturbing that in the 60s there was still such an anti-Semitism in Austria.
It doesn't surprise
Did you
me.
ever get married?
I'm going to say something interesting because Robin talked about meeting Simon Wiesenthal. So I also met Simon Wiesenthal. I made a film where I went to Vienna and interviewed him. And first of all, you nailed his nuances. Christian Berkel nailed him. And his office was like exact. It was just unbelievable. But Robin, it's interesting because you got one side of him and I got a very different side of him. When I walked in his office, he was like this little old playful little man who was sitting behind his desk, and I just, he just went on a tirade and just gave me every detail of his life. So it's interesting. I mean, definitely he was very matter of fact, and he said what he had to, and when he was done, he said, "I'm done, leave." Huh?
What year?
Year was that 2000? I would say. Yeah, he was already well into his 80s. Yeah. But I think that what you did with him was amazing.
Thanks.
I just listened to your Zoom. The
Oh.
other day when you did the art and how you hooked him in.
Yeah.
To meeting with you. That was a fabulous program. Thank you. for that.
Thank you. Okay, let's take the question up in the back.
Say a few words about the woman that played Anna, please. Tell me more about her.
Yeah, she's an actress from Austria. She's very talented. She's young. She played at the Salzburger Festspiele in Die Bullschaft in the Jedermann. This is the most famous play that they show there every year, where all the stars perform. But she didn't have much fun with it, obviously, because she didn't do it only for one time. And then she focused on her theater and film work. She didn't do too much film, so I think this is one of her bigger parts in a movie so far.
What did she do in the casting process to convince you that that's the one for the role?
Actually, I saw her on the stage and in other movies, and I didn't cast that part. I wanted her for it.
Oh wow.
Not like Jeff.
I had to do a casting. You saw, I had to do a casting.
Well, the good news
She's
is
great. She's really great, and she's also really fun to work with, and she's really nice. Yeah.
Jeff, now that you've had a starring role, now you don't have to do that anymore. Yes, in the very back.
So I'm curious about the language, Jeff. Did you have to learn German for the part? I understand you're a native Yiddish speaker, but
No.
and you speak several languages, yes. So I wonder if you've known German before you had to learn it.
I moved to Germany 10 years ago, and because I speak Yiddish, and before that I lived in Holland where I studied economics, so I also picked up Dutch. And as a teenager already, I also learned Dutch, and so I think German was, I picked it up. Not easy, I'm talented.
You're talented,
And,
that's why it was easy for you.
It's true. So yeah, and then I was, so I did, so no, I played, I actually never acted in Hebrew, which is, and then.
What about the Austrian accent?
So I didn't do the Austrian accent.
Can you do the Austrian accent?
Should I do it now? Du weißt, dass ich mache an Austrian accent. Na sicher. Did I do it good? No?
Yes,
Depends which one. Do you want a Viennese or do you want the Salzburg? It's different,
that's right. That's right.
That was an interesting scene for
This
the
is
for
what
the
not Viennese.
non-German speakers in the audience. We couldn't tell the difference.
I think the Austrian sounds more like the Southern, It's more like it has something very melodic. And it's a bit, it's softer, and it's just like everything is a bit slower. You're coming late, It's like a bit,
Yes.
The Israeli government knew where Mengele was and didn't want to kill him.
Ah, here you go.
So since you can't kill them, what do you think the revenge is of the Jews?
What do you mean at the end of the
It's
film?
too late.
In the world.
They're all
Oh, in
dead.
the world? Oh.
This is a larger philosophical.
Yeah, that's difficult to
Philosophy.
answer.
You can only take that
It's
one.
established that we can't kill them all.
They're all
But
dead.
that's not our level of revenge, so what is it?
I'm afraid I have no answer to that question.
You stumped them.
Never forget, never forget.
Exactly.
Living as the Jew is the only way to revenge.
Okay. Any more questions? Yes, Heidi.
So music played a big part.
Yeah,
in
your
the
music
film.
was amazing.
And music, and I was curious why you had the phonograph play certain pieces. Like, what was the symbolism of that?
What was the question?
So the question was, Heidi asked about the music and the phonograph. He selected certain pieces, and what was the symbolism of that music?
Well, on the one hand, Anna is working in a record store, and on the other hand, we have this background that Victor is just returning from England, so I thought that he's interested into music, and he brought some music from there that he'd like to listen to. So.
But it played well with the scenes in which,
Who was the composer?
was happening.
The original score is by a guy called Erik Skodvin from Norway. He's very famous in Europe in the electro scene. Fantastic guy, and this is his first score, actually.
Thomas, you have a background in music videos, which is how you came to...
Yeah, but that's a few years back.
I understand, but I was taking the question about music to the next level.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, yeah, maybe. Actually, you know what? I was playing in a rock band as a musician in my youth. No, you didn't know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a musical background. I actually started playing guitar for a year, but don't ask me to play something now.
How about one last question? Oh, Neil, you have a question?
I have a statement.
Okay.
What's really beautiful about the film is the subtleties of the secondary characters, portrayal of these people in the film. The music is just really beautiful, as Heidi just said. Jeff's performance, as a lead and everything else is just fantastic. The directing is wonderful.
Crazy, yeah.
But nobody has said what I think is something that is the essence and the backbone of this film, and that's the screenplay. This is just a beautiful screenplay.
You wrote it.
Yeah, that's...
Excellent, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sure. Sure. Thank you very much, Neil. Thanks.
Nicely characterized.
Thank you.
Isn't that Google famous actor?
Oh,
Yeah.
they're asking about the cast. So
Yeah,
tell
he's-
us about the
he's-
cast, because we don't, as
Oh.
Americans, we
Very,
don't
very
know who
talented,
these
famous
actors are.
cast in Austria.
This guy
and
who
Germany.
plays Gogol is a legend in Austria. He's a so-called enfant terrible. So most of the time he's in a courtroom facing trials because he's, I don't know, very hard to handle. And he didn't act in a movie for like 10 years. But he has his own theater going, so he's directing and acting in his theater performance, where they do shows that last for 8 hours, and the audience get dinner and drinks and everything. And there are several stages where the action takes place. You can walk around and see. It's really fantastic, and he's touring Europe with this place, and doesn't have any support by public money, so he has to earn everything himself. So when you go see that show, you will find him staying at the cash desk and selling the tickets, actually. But he's an amazing actor, and not an easy guy, but he's really great.
I remember when he said to Thomas, "Thomas, for you, I will work with you always." And Thomas said, "You are a witness," he said it. "You are a witness," he said it.
Actually, he said, "I do everything you want."
Yeah, I do everything you want. And this is something we never hear from him. So, and Thomas was like, looked at me, "You're a witness that he
That's
said
a high
that."
honor. That's a high honor.
Yes.
Talk about, because of the subject matter, you know, and getting these actors, was there more of an interest in telling this story because of the story, as opposed to something else that may be offered to them? You know, it's about a piece of, you know, loosely.
I mean, in Austria, when you try to get an actor for a movie with theatrical release, first of all, everyone is interested to be in there because the business is not big there. You know, there are not so many movies made for theatrical release. So most of the time, I mean, the stars that we have in Austria and Germany, they select their parts. But for smaller parts, when you do a theatrical movie, most of the actors you can get.
But Georg Friedrich, like to work
Friedrich's
with
a
his,
big
like
star.
it's a big star. He won the Silver Bear in the Berlinale. It's a legend actor. I really admire him, and you know, he plays the Mossad agent. So he did.
Yeah.
I think he
was
knows
surprising.
you, and he respects you, and he read the script. So I think it is such an honor to have this.
Yeah,
people.
that was
It's,
surprising. You're right. That was wonderful that Georg took the part.
We'll take one last question.
Could you tell us a little bit about the relationship between Victor and Ari? Because he seems to be in pivotal scenes when your dad passes away, going to the train station, and then he pulls out a picture of Victor, which he's had in a desk.
No, he took it. He took the photo. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. I had it in my. He gave me the photo. Yeah.
Is he a cousin? Is he a good friend? Is there
He's
some sort of special
they're closest
relationship?
friends. He's his best friend. That's the relation.
And I was in England for a long time, so you know, since we were kids, you know, so it's all kind of coming back and trying to, and they're obviously they didn't see each other many years since, you know, the war broke, and they're trying to find to each other back, as I'm trying to find back the way to my father. This is also why the fancy car, and then everything is, I find it so moving, you know, the way people try to hold on, but the years are gone. You know, nobody will bring the years back, but we try to make a birthday party. Almost, I mean, he's not a kid, but he has this birthday party. It looks like a wedding, you know, it's so, and I think the car also. So also with Ari, I think they were very close friends, you know, in the Jewish community, like brothers, and then, you know, they're trying to find their way back, but it's also kind of before something, he needs to flee to New York, so.
Then it's the big goodbye again. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's always, yeah.
What happens to the real Victor?
What happened to the real Victor?
Real Victor,
In Austria, just had
Yeah.
Shabbos dinner with him.
the
Really nice.
grandfather he
Really?
died, but the father is still alive. I think he's 73 now. He's still running his company, and his son Michel, who got in touch with me, he's also working in the company, but he's also a freelance producer.
It's great. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Larry.